What is going on, everybody? It's me, Chavez, back with another video. We're talking prize picks for the Monday, January 23rd, 7-game NBA slate. Super early look at the prize picks board. Not everything is listed, so right now what you're seeing is Boston, Orlando, Chicago, Atlanta, and then a few Utah Jazz props. But I have my eye on two players right off the bat, and then I have two additional players for you who are not listed, but I'll be looking out for those to be listed early morning, early afternoon, and I'll tell you which props for those players I'm most interested in. So let's start at the top here with Mr. Jason Tatum, over 8.5 rebounds for the game. Listen, Jason Tatum is a really good rebounder. He's underrated. Does he get lucky sometimes? Yeah. Ball bounces off the rim on a missed three-point shot, finds his hands. Sure, but those count just the same. But if you've never watched a Celtics game, Jason Tatum is attacking the rim. He is looking for the putback. He is looking to start fast breaks, start the transition. So rebounding the ball on the defensive end, puts that ball in his hands. That's what he wants. So Jason Tatum goes after rebounds. These 19 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 11 rebounds, 10 rebounds, these rebounds aren't just being put in his hands. He's going and getting those rebounds. And so taking a look at what his stat line has looked like over on props.cash, we can see that Jason Tatum is, over his last 10 games, a 60% hit rate. And then over his last 5 games, he is 100% hit rate. Of course, you don't expect him to grab 19 rebounds every game, but look what he's done over the last 5 games. Double-digit rebounds over the last 5 games. Over the last 10 games, he's averaging just about double-digit rebounds as well. So I really do like his chances of clearing that 8.5 rebound line tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. This is an away game, and Jason Tatum puts in work on the road. So you can see 4 out of his last 5 games, he's been putting in that work, averaging basically 10 rebounds a game, and then 6 out of his last 10 games, averaging 9 rebounds a game, and that's exactly where we need him tomorrow in order for him to clear that 8.5 prop for us. The second player that I have my eye on is Nikola Vucevic. And you can go a few different ways with this. If you want to run a few different slips, you can put, his fantasy score once that drops, PRA first half and full game, and then points and rebounds as well, and just kind of like cover all sides of that player prop. But the one I really like is his PRA full game, set at 32.5, so he needs 33 PRA to hit that. Go over to props.cash and let's just pull up Nikola Vucevic's PRA over the last 10 games. 7 out of 10, so 70% hit rate. Pretty good. Over the last 5 games, he's averaging 37. Over the last 10, 35. Take a look at what he's done versus the Atlanta Hawks. Only averaging 25.5. But these games were played quite some time ago. So his first meeting with the Hawks was at the beginning of December. Then his second meeting with the Hawks was at the end of December. Look at the difference, though. So he increased his PRA game over game by 7. By that math, that will put him at 36 PRA for this game, and that would clear our line. So a few different ways you can look at this. I'm also interested in his first half PRA, set to 16.5. 14 during their first meeting, and then 12 during their second meeting. But anything over a month, it's really hard to look back at something 30 days old and use that as a sample size. The NBA is a fast-paced game. Things change so quickly. Roles change so quickly. And so you really, I think your friend when it comes to looking up stats is recency bias. So looking at the last 5 games again, first half PRA. He's hit this in 6 of his last 10 games and in 3 of his last 5 games. So real strong numbers for Vooch. I'm interested in those as well. And then when his fantasy points drop, Vooch is averaging over the last 5 games 50 fantasy points, 48 fantasy points. Really quick, let's just do this math. You might be surprised. So over the last 5 games, Vooch is averaging 23 points. He's averaging 12 rebounds. That's 15 fantasy points. That's 38. He's averaging 4 assists, that's 6 fantasy points. That's 44. And you go down to his blocks and steals. He's averaging 2, so that's 50 right there, minus his turnovers. 48 fantasy points. If Vooch's fantasy score drops tomorrow and it is in the low 40s, high 30s, I think you slam that. You lock that in. I think that's too low of a number for Vucevic. But we'll see what they bring us tomorrow once they start releasing the fantasy scores. 2 players I'm also interested in that you do not see on the board right now. Derrick White, who is my thumbnail cover. Derrick White, fantasy, PRA, first half full game, and then also first half points. When they do drop, I'm interested to see what those are. Boston is dealing with 2 injuries that are going to impact Derrick White's role tomorrow. Brogdon out due to personal reasons. Marcus Smart out with that ankle injury. Opens up the door wide open for Derrick White to have the ball in his hands a little bit more, facilitate, dish it out, grab boards, hit threes, crash the paint, steal a pass, block a shot. He does it all. He really does. And when he does get his opportunity to play, he does make the most of it. So I'm interested in what those Derrick White props are for tomorrow. Keep your eye out for those. And then lastly is Alperen Sengun. PRA first half, PRA full game, and then first half points, and then fantasy score as well. Much like Vooch, Alperen Sengun has been putting in some work over the last 5 games, and let's just take a look at what he's been doing here. So take a look. Starting off with his points, Alperen Sengun is getting you 21 points over the last 5 games, 18 points over the last 10 games. You go to his rebounds, he's averaging 11 rebounds, so that 11 plus 21 is 32. And then I think it was 18 points over his last 10 games, plus the 10 rebounds. That's 29. So 29 and 32 points and rebounds over his last 5 and 10 games. Go to the assist. I mean, he's been dishing the ball out a lot. He's averaging 6 assists over the last 5 games and 6 assists over the last 10 games. That's 9 fantasy points right there. Over his last 5 games, that puts you over 40 fantasy points and puts him right at 38 fantasy points over his last 10 games. You go to steals and blocks. 3 blocks and steals over his last 5 games. That's 9 extra points. That's almost 50 fantasy points right there. And then 3 blocks and steals over his last 10 games. That's over his last 10 games, close to 50 fantasy points. And then over his last 5 games, he's hitting that 50 fantasy point mark. Take away the turnovers. Turns the ball over a little bit more than you like to see. So 4 turnovers over his last 5 games. So brings his fantasy total down to about 45 over the last 5 games, and then fantasy total over the last 10 games puts him in or around that 40-ish, 44 fantasy points over the last 10 games. I'm interested in his fantasy score when they drop, either first half or full game, and his PRA first half and full game. One thing to keep in mind, the Rockets just played Minnesota on January 21st. Alperen Sengun had a monster stat line of 19 points, 16 boards, 7 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. Keep in mind that Mr. Rudy Gobert was not in the lineup for this game. He is questionable to play tomorrow. If he is again ruled out, think that is an easy smash on Alperen Sengun's fantasy prop, first half PRA, full game PRA. If Gobert is in the lineup, he does have one game versus Gobert, and he didn't fare as well. Finished with about 29 fantasy points and 28 PRA. Had five personal fouls and 3 turnovers, I believe. So he was in a bit of foul trouble. That was back in, let's see, I want to say that was back in either early January or early December. So their last meeting, yeah. So January 8th was their last meeting, and that was in Houston. And then their last meeting was in Minnesota when Gobert sat out. But nonetheless, I think Sengun is starting to hit his stride. I think he's starting to come into his own. You're starting to see a more confident player. So Gobert in or Gobert out, I still like his props for tomorrow. Once they drop, I'll be looking to add those to a few 6-man flexes and some power plays. So there you have it. That's all I got. Appreciate the time you're taking to watch this video and hang out with me. Be on the lookout for my next video that I will be uploading tomorrow afternoon. We'll go ahead and construct some 6-man flexes, some power plays, and I'll go ahead and go over yesterday's results, as I had a little bit of luck in the NFL, but not as much as I would like. So thanks again for stopping by the channel and checking this video out. Do me a favor, drop a comment below. Let me know what your favorite player prop of the day is so far. If you have one, if you don't, what player are you most interested in locking into one of your slips tomorrow? Also, let me know what you think about my picks so far. You like them, you hate them. Either way, I'd like to know. Thank you again for stopping by. And hey, until my next video, Chavez is out.